Hello and welcome back. And today we are going to discuss about the single responsibility principle, one of the principles among the five solid principles. So, first one is single responsibility principle. It's a very important and very simple principle to understand. So, let's start with the basic concept like what is needed for you to write your class in a single responsibility principle manner, which should not violate your single responsibility principle, what that class should look like. So there are two things that you need to remember if you are working on the single responsibility principle. The first thing is that a class should have only one reason to change, which means there should not be two reasons for a single class to change, right? If you are doing any change in a class, then it should be having only one reason, right? And if you see the second one, this is very simple and it is complementary to this. I mean, this is completely making sense with respect to the first statement. It says that a class should have only one responsibility. I mean, a class should only do one type of thing, only one task. It should not perform the second task, right? So we will see the example very soon. But yeah, take care of these two statements and keep in your mind like what we have discussed right now. A class should have only one reason to change, and a class should have only one responsibility. Okay. Now, why we read these patterns, right? And not principles, not patterns, the principles. Why we read these principles? Sometimes it's like you get some code which is not good, which is creating a lot of troubles, which is not manageable. So sometimes you get the request that you need to refactor this code. So if you have to refactor this code, then also if you know this principle, single responsibility principle, then you can identify those classes which are violating these principles. Like right, like single responsibility principle, you can find out which class among all the set of classes that you have in your code that has been given to you for refactoring, what class is there which is not following the solid principles. You need to identify all those classes, and first of all, you need to identify that class which is not following the single responsibility principle. So if you find out one class which is not following the single responsibility principle, then you need to refactor it. I mean, you need to make it following single responsibility principle by refactoring it, by removing some piece of code from the class, some set of classes from the some set of functions from that class, or whatever. I mean, the variables and associated variables and the associated functions, they all need to be separated out into the separate class. But yes, when you separate them out, they should all be working for one reason. There should be only one responsibility with each of the class after refactoring, right? So at the time of refactoring, when you have got some code which was not working fine, at that time as well, you need to know these things. I mean, you need to take care of these things. You should follow first off, for the first thing, you need to follow these things, the solid principles, whenever you get some bad code which need to be refactored. And second thing is that the second thing I have written first, and first thing then second. So yeah, while writing new classes, you need to take care of this. When you are writing the new classes, then it means that you are following the preventive action. You will not do the same kind of mistake which you have due to which you have got some others code to refactor it, right? So at the time of writing the new classes, you need to take care of these principles. And at the time when you refactor the code, you got some piece of code at the time of refactor the code and it has number of classes. You need to first check these principles. You must need to check these principles, and the very first step it should be, so that you can rearrange the classes. Okay, so this is how you should start your refactoring, and this is how you should write the new classes. You should follow all these principles. Okay, now let's come to one example, right? So this is the example. I have a class employee. The name of the class is employee. I will create the objects of the employee, and then I have few functions: add employee, delete employee, update employee, which means I'm saving the data of the employee using these three functions: adding employees, deleting, and saving any updates which are there. Like maybe there may be a change in the address of the employee, so all those things we need to follow, and all those we need to cater here. So add employee, delete employee, and update employee, all these things I'm taking care here. Now the other function is send mail. We need to send the mail as soon as the employee's details are updated. We can send mail to him that yes, your details have been updated. Then we have generate report function. We can generate the report like what was your attendance in the last month, how many salary slips have been generated till now for this employee. So all these kind of reports you can generate from here. But now let us see what is the problem with this class. The problem with this class is that you have three kind of responsibilities here. One responsibility is to save the record of the employee. The second responsibility is sending the mail. The third responsibility is to generate the report. All these cannot be clubbed under a single responsibility. Sending mail is altogether a different responsibility. Generating report is altogether a different responsibility. So, with this particular class is not following the single responsibility principle. So, first of all, you need to find out that how you need to separate the functions and the variables from this class to create new classes. So, it should something look like this. The first class will be something like employee record. Okay, so in this you can have add, delete, and update. These three functions you could have. This can be a single class. Okay, and you can create the other class. The second class you can create, which is send mail to employee. Okay, send mail to employee. This can be your other class, right? Here you can add like functions like add recipient, or the function that you have already, if that is sufficient, like send mail is the sufficient, and it's taking the arguments like who to whom you need to send mail. If it is taking the argument here, then in that case you're fine, or it is taking the set of arguments, right? So all those things, if they are already there, it's fine. Otherwise, while refactoring, you can also identify the chances like what else can be done, right? So send mail to employee, this is another this will be the another class, and the third one will be reporting. Okay, inside this reporting, if you have all the data for reports, right, that is fine. If you have all the functions that are supporting to just simply generate the report, that is fine. Otherwise, you can add few new member functions, and they can get some new information for you. And your original function like generate mail, generate report, that can that also need to be written here. Inside the generate report, you can give the ID of the employee or whatever. So if this is a very simple function, this was very simple function which can be separated, spruced out from the from your class, then in that case you can simply separate it out, right? So this is how you can separate out all the functions such that all the classes that you have created, they are only following a single responsibility, and they have only one reason to change. For example, here employee record, there is only one reason to change. A new employee is getting added or updated, or it is getting deleted. So employee is the only reason, right? Who is the reason? Reason is the actor. Who is the actor? Outside actor. If there is only for one class, there should be one actor only, right? It's only employee, right? And also it doesn't make sense that if you have to send mail, you are creating an object of an employee. How does it make sense, right? And also it becomes unmanageable very soon when you have added number of things here, number of functions here. And if you say that yes, I will send the mail as well, I will generate the report as well. So when you will write your unit test cases for various scenarios, they will also not make sense, right? They will also, anyone who is looking into your unit test cases, they will see that why here I have done this, why here, why I'm sending the mail, why I have written this function, why I'm creating the employee object when I have to send the mail. I just have to send the report, and I'm creating an employee object altogether, right? So this is not a good practice to have more than one responsibility or more than one reason to change for a class. So for example, in all these classes now we have only one reason to change. The reason for here the second class is that you have to send the mail. The reason for third class is that yes, I need a report, right? So activity, actors, these creates the reason, right? Here is the activity and here was the actor. So actor is the reason. So that reason is the that reason is sufficient for sprucing out the responsibility set of responsibility into different classes. So if actor is there and there are different set of activities are available like adding, deleting, updating the records, then the actor is important here, because one single actor, add, delete and update, this all can be performed. But here the other activity was send mail, right? So actor with activities with other then other activities, then those things are not good, right? So that is why you need to take care of. That is why we don't create any class which has more than one responsibility, because later on it will become it will be something like not making any sense and something which will become unmanageable in the coming days, right? So that is why you write these kind of classes which follow the single responsibility principle. And if you refactor, then also you need to take care that yes, where is the scope of making this change, so that we can make any of the classes which are not following the single responsibility principle to follow it, right? So now you can see, I hope you might have understood it, like why you should have only one responsibility and what you should do. So we have discussed two things. That first thing is the principle, right? You should have only one responsibility. That was the principle. You can learn it by heart, but yeah, you need to understand why it was needed, right? So if you change the responsibilities, if you add the responsibilities, more than one responsibility you add to your class, then in that case, you very soon you will realize that changing the code, extending the code, adding any new requirement, adding a new code for against a new requirement, you will be able to feel that adding a new code for a new requirement has become a challenge. You need to do the changes at different places, and you need to be very peculiar that what test cases should be there for this new requirement, because there is a email send functionality as well, there is generate report functionality as well. So what responsibility should be there, how you will define, and how someone who is looking at your code will understand it, that if this new code has been added, is there any relation to send mail and generate report as well, where you have added some new requirement for adding the employees or updating the employees or deleting the employees. So that is the thing, and you need to take care of this. Like, you should write a class which only follows a single responsibility principle. And there are some tips and tricks, for this employee class. Since I'm taking care of this, taking the example of this employee class, so I would like to say one thing, that this send mail class, this send mail function, and these generate report function, they doesn't need a separate class, a separate object to be created. You can understand that send mail is a kind of functionality for which only one object is needed, which means that a singleton class can work for it. You don't need to create number of objects again and again every time you send a mail. The singleton class can be created for sending the mail related activities, because there can be only one object for sending the mails, and that object can only take the recipients names to whom you need to send the mails, and that's it, right? But you don't need to create an object every time. So sometimes you need to identify this thing as well, right? Like, you don't need to create separate object every time. You need to have a singleton class. So you can convert this send mail function. You can put this send mail function to a class which is a singleton class. Similarly, the generate report. If you are generating the report, why you have to create different objects for generating the reports? Why you will create different objects? You can have only one object. This can again be a singleton class. And if it's a singleton class, you can again write your own code for just for creating the report, and you can create one object for generating the report, and you can keep passing the arguments, like the employee ID for which you have to generate the report. So that way you can get it done, right? So this is all about the single responsibility principle, which I can tell you as an example of, as a simple example in this theoretical manner. In the coming videos, after all the principles we will discuss, after that I will have one class, or one session, or maybe 5 different sessions for understanding in the code itself, like what is the single responsibility principle, where it has been violated, and how I will correct it. So all those things we can do, right? So in the coming videos we'll do, but yeah, first of all we will understand all these principles. So in the coming 4 videos we will discuss rest of the 4 solidus principles, and after that I will open the code, and in the code itself we will discuss in the practical manner that how it is used, and how we have violated, and how we can correct it. So that we will discuss in the coming videos. And till then, have a nice day, and bye bye. We'll meet soon in the next video. Enjoy, and please like, subscribe my channel. Okay, thank you.